Well, I want to welcome back Michael DePalma here. Michael was on a few hours ago onto this event with Will Nobles to kick off the day. And Kaseya had two awards that they were giving out here. And Michael, welcome back. Why don't you talk a little bit about the second award that you and Kaseya gave out there at the MSP Titans Gala a few weeks ago?
Yeah, absolutely. So for those of you who weren't on earlier, I'm Mike DePalma, SVP of MSP Enablement here at Kaseya. And so, right, we gave out two awards. We talked about the one earlier with Will Nobles. It's the Partner Community Involvement Award. But the second one we gave out was Partner of the Year. And, when we look at and kind of consider what would be the best partner of Kaseya's, we don't just look at like spend bottom line. Like it's a portion of it, but it's really, what does a partnership mean? We want to work with folks that will give us the honest feedback, good, bad, hopefully not indifferent. We'd rather have one good or bad, but a true partnership. And, it was interesting when we gave out the award, the account manager for Dynamic Quest, who I'm going to introduce in a minute, you would have thought she won the award. She was so proud and so happy, and you could see the relationship that she has with that entire team. And that's what we mean by, a true partnership. And so it was tough. We had a lot of good nominations, a lot of folks that even didn't get nominated that you definitely could have made a case for. But in reviewing, the last 12 months, we decided that Dynamic Quest was the winner. So very proud. I was very happy that they were able to win the award.
All right. Well, we've got John Guillaume, the CEO of Dynamic Quest on. Welcome, John.
Thank you much, Jeff, and great choice, Michael. With Dynamic Quest, all kidding aside, that was a bit of a surprise and quite the honor. So thank you very much.
Yeah, well deserved.
Yeah, Michael, talk about the kind of the criteria and what went into it of determining Dynamic Quest as the winner of this.
Yeah, I mean, again, beyond, usage of the products and all of that stuff, it is having that free-flowing conversation back and forth. Sometimes you have that vendor-client kind of relationship, and we all have it. There's just some folks you never really get to mesh with, but, somebody that from the leadership down can provide us with feedback and a true relationship and, things that go beyond just the actual, day-to-day transactions. I know John and his team were down in Miami, at our headquarters, doing their SKO and doing meetings like that. Like, to me, that's a partnership. And as a leadership team kind of, debated this, those type of things kind of go into it. So, it's great.
John, there's about 500 MSPs that are on this live cast right now, watching in from all around the world. I'm sure most of them don't necessarily know who Dynamic Quest is unless they've gone up against you in a deal before. Why don't you just tell a little bit about your company there?
Sure. It's one of those funny segments where you get the, have you heard of this MSP or that MSP? And it's often the answer is no. There's a lot of us out there, right?
Sure.
So, well, Dynamic Quest, a little bit about Dynamic Quest. We're a leading MSP in the Southeast United States, headquartered in Greensboro, North Carolina. We support SMBs with fully managed and co-managed IT, cybersecurity, cloud solutions, and we back it up with 24/7, 365 service desk and tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, and field support. A little bit of, I guess, a little bit of what makes us perhaps different is we really believe managed IT should be hassle-free and reliable. And most SMBs may not be experiencing what they thought they were buying. So our investments are really focused on continuous operating improvements and service excellence. I always tell the team, I said, look, when we take care of our clients, they take care of us. And, when in doubt, lean in and take care of the client. So service excellence is a big goal of ours. But our mission is to really redefine awesome in the MSP sector. And we think we can do that by serving our clients with remarkably hassle-free and dependable IT, cybersecurity, cloud, and expert advice to keep them moving forward in the direction that their business wants to go.
At least we set the bar low with just redefining awesomeness in the MSP space.
Well, It's like any industry, there's always room for improvement, and we're trying to raise our own bar, and hopefully in turn, all boats rise.
Yeah, talk about your partnership with Kaseya and how you approach that as a company, as one of the larger MSPs that are out there. You're in a unique position, but it's also a position of where I thought of it when Michael was talking about partnership, and we've had a common theme throughout the day has been with those that have come home with the MSP Titan Award from a variety of different companies in the channel, is that they truly are partners with those companies. So talk about how you approach that with Kaseya in particular.
Sure. Well, it's interesting when you hear about great businesses, you often hear about, hey, you have to have great people and talent and products and great technology, good go-to-market. All those things are pretty commonplace if you're involved in a discussion around what great businesses look like. But it's interesting, a lot of times partnerships aren't mentioned, and it's an important aspect of growing. It's an important aspect of maturing and really creating these win-win relationships like we have with Kaseya. So it's what's often missed is the opportunity to create those win-win relationships. And it's more than a bill, no differently than an MSP is to their client. We're more than just a bill. We're more than just a service desk. How can we be there for you, advising you? I mean, even in recent examples where we had two very powerful hurricanes come into the U.S., and we have a lot of customers. Most of our customers are in the Southeast United States, and they were impacted hard. And what we decided to do is how do we lean in and take care of them, and in some cases that meant to the detriment of others, but the other clients also understood we need to do the right thing for taking care of our customers, and it's that's just kind of who we are in our DNA, and I found that with Kaseya very similar. We're not just another order, or not looking to make the next deal. It's a relationship where we can share our candid feedback. They bring in the right resources. They'll listen. They'll take notes. We've even got a few things from backlog into some development, which is exciting, and that matters a lot. But then there's the simple things, right? Michael mentioned we were in Miami. They were gracious enough to share some of their corporate facilities for our sales kickoff, and so we got our sales team out of the cold weather down in Miami for a bit, and they really enjoyed it. And not only that was nice enough, and then Michael and Emiliana and several others, we had such a warm welcome. I could spend 5 minutes talking about our warm welcome and hospitality, but to say that they exceeded expectations is an understatement. And those are the things that make you feel like you're a partner. I often talk to my team about services, and 70% of the U.S. economy is services based. And I read this book by Will Guidara called Unreasonable Hospitality, and he's a restaurateur, a Michelin star restaurant up in New York, and he kind of defined the difference. He said, if you're in the services business, but are you in the hospitality business? And he defined it in an interesting way. He said, services are what you do, and hospitality is how you make people feel. And it's a really interesting point. And I think in the MSP space, so much of what we do should be thought of as hospitality. It's about how we make people feel. We run a lot of technology, we operate a lot of technology, but in a pinch when things are down, how do you make your clients feel? And I bring that up because Kaseya made us feel valued, and it was just really appreciated. And there's several examples. So we really appreciate the partnership, and I'm hoping that they feel the similar. This is a win-win situation. Let's leverage each other's expertise and see if we can grow together.
Yeah. Hey, Michael, one of the things that was introduced this year by Kaseya that I've heard a lot about is the partner first pledge here. And that really leans into what we were just talking about with John here. Maybe talk a little bit about that because I'm sure everyone hasn't heard about that.
Yeah, absolutely. And my team specifically, we kind of sit in between sales and marketing. We're the ones that are out kind of public facing arm and getting the feedback from partners. And what I really like is that, when we bring that feedback to the leadership and we're on weekly calls, with the CEO and all the C levels, they took that to heart and we put together this partner first pledge, which was, something that, it's a bigger undertaking. A lot of times when you're a large vendor, you're in your bubble and you're thinking about all the different things that you need to do to help your partners. But sometimes the things that you're spending time on aren't really moving the needle. What they need are things like this, the partner first pledge. So, the price lock that we've put into there. We just released BCDR concierge. So now, again, coming from partners, like, hey, we need more help going to market with BCDR. Well, I come from the data side. There's people I've been here 10 years. There's people with much more experience than me. We're now formulating a team that'll be dedicated just specifically for you to go to market and try to sell and try to size out devices on the engineering side and things like that. To John's point about, some of the disasters that had happened earlier in the year, hurricanes and all that, we put in the catastrophic loss clause as well, where if you lose a client that accounts for 20% or more of your total revenue, we could work with you to get out of those contracts. So flex spend, we've got a lot of different products, and now, okay, maybe all of a sudden this person moved to the cloud or no longer needs that service. Well, you could shift that spend even if you're under contract. And again, these were things that we heard from the community, and it was really exciting to see them actually get implemented. And the beauty of that is that's a living and breathing document. There will be. We just were down in Miami for a leadership meeting last week, brainstorming what else we could do to enhance that partner first pledge. And for somebody on the enablement side, that's music to my ears. So, pretty exciting to see that.
Hey, John, it seems like from this conversation that partnership is like as I mentioned, it's been a theme that I've heard throughout the day here. Definitely something that you've leaned into to be able to really improve the service side of what you're doing and keeping your team happy with the tools, the tech stack that they have, and the partners that you have is really important for those that are out there. What are some of your insights on how to develop that? You're about how large of a company are you right now? About how many people?
We have about 150 employees.
Yeah, so 150 person company that might be different than a 10-person MSP that's out there that says, oh, well, that's great. They're gonna host you down in Miami and wine and dine you there because you represent a lot of dollars. But there's a lot of ways I think that they can take advantage of that, of being able to have those inroads to have better partnerships with their vendors and what that can do to make a big difference in their business. Any thoughts that you have on that of how to approach that?
Are you asking how to approach the partnership with Kaseya or
With
just
Kaseya or even with any of the vendors that they have out there, with the MSPs that are watching on, how do you build those closer relationships? What have you done? I know you've been in the IT industry for over 25 years here, so you've got a lot of experience on this. How do you approach that? What are some tips that you can give or strategies on how to best approach it to
sure?
really build those partnerships?
Well, the most important thing is it starts with a relationship. And I wasn't the founder of Dynamic Quest, but when I came in, one thing that was really interesting to me is we didn't have uh, relationships outside of a contract, and we didn't know people, and we didn't know them beyond just an email address, and that should change. Look, all of us are often working with organizations that are twice our size, 100 times our size. Whether it be Kaseya, Microsoft, SonicWall, Cisco. I mean, they're massive organizations, and I would just say, first of all, find your relationship, and then create it. Talk to them. And candor, I find, is always important too. I tend to like to share. Here's what we're working on that we're pretty sure will make us a better business. And without going into the solution, which engineers like to do, why don't we start talking about the problems or the opportunities, and then ask your partner, how might you fit in? How might you help us with this? And those are great conversations to have. You might just learn something. You might not know of a incentive program they have. You might not be aware of online training they have to keep your solution architects up to date, or certification programs. Another example, just more simply, is leveraging, taking advantage of the marketing development funds. There's a lot to a relationship, and it's more than just transactional. And so we look at it as we do a lot of business with Kaseya and several others. And gosh, if Kaseya is an important vendor of ours isn't bought into what we're doing, that makes it a little harder for us to achieve our goals, and that's true of other partners that we have as well. So build those relationships and make it more than just transactional. Make it get to know the people and really learn about their programs and share what your goals are and try to better understand how they might help you.
That's great. We started this off talking about redefining awesomeness within the MSP industry, and I know that's a passion of yours, of that service side of the business. You've mentioned a number of times here today. As we just have a few minutes left, maybe share a few thoughts on where you feel from your experience and looking at it from the MSP space of what others can do to up their level of awesomeness.
Yeah, well, and of course, I can't speak to everyone's goals. Those may be different, but if growth is part of that and scale, which I know I've talked to a number of CEOs at other MSPs, I'm not surprised. But growth is hard, and we all see a number of businesses that you can get to 1 million and get to 2 million, and maybe you hit a barrier at whatever that might be, 3 million, 4 million of revenue. And the hardest part is transitioning from that, because you typically have to bring on more staff. Maybe there's more capital required to scale that business. But I think the most important thing you can do is make sure you set a foundation that is capable of scaling. Because one of the pitfalls that I see more often than not is the feeling that working harder is going to achieve scale. And working harder, I mean, working hard is just part of the gig. But I tell my team is like, there's only so many of the hours of the day, and I know we work hard. This is, a little bit maybe working smarter, but I often say, let's work differently. So how do you kind of cast out the ways that you've been doing it and think about renewed ways of doing it in the future that will not only serve your clients well, but serve your business well? And also establishes a foundation for scale. And that is not easy. And in some cases, I've talked to MSPs where perhaps the employees, all they know is a $3 million MSP because they've been doing it for 15 years. They don't know what scale looks like. I've been fortunate enough to sell a voice over IP business to Comcast. And, I joke, I went from 130 people to 130,000 people, after, signing a contract. That was shocking. But let me tell you, not that I'm aspiring to be a cable company, but when you look at what scale looks like when at Comcast Business, we were adding nearly 50,000 customers a month and in scaling nearly $800 million in new revenue a year off the backs of $250 customers. That is massive scale. And if you can combine your entrepreneurship and your entrepreneurial skills, because you've gotten your business to where you're at today, but think about maybe bringing some talent in that understands what scale looks like, and help you with some of those foundational things, and also help you look at problems or opportunities differently. Because old habits are really hard to change. So I would just suggest like bring in some fresh eyes and bring in some folks that are passionate about what you're trying to achieve, that have some entrepreneurial chops, but also have experienced scale. And I think it'll be really eye-opening to kind of mix some of that with your current team. And don't get me wrong, it's not easy, but understanding what scale looks like and what great looks like is important.
All right, great stuff, John. I appreciate it. Michael, I appreciate you taking a 2 or 3 hour break in between since I saw you last here on this. John, it's great of being able to recognize you in Dynamic Quest. There, I see the MSP Titan trophy in the background there.
There we go. There we go. It's a beauty.
Yeah, awesome trophy there, and great to be able to recognize MSPs doing awesome things out there in the community right now. So thank you guys for hanging out with us for the last 20 minutes or so here, and best of luck going into 2025.
Yeah, happy holidays.
Thank you. Happy holidays, everybody. Thank you.
All right.